Hey, this is A Wolf Lives Here. You guys know the rest. I'm Brett Hefner, and to my immediate left is...
John Munger.
And I'm John's brother, Joe. What's up, guys?
Alright, guys.
Trying to
today,
get these bars.
Trying to get these bars, guys. We've been working hard. Some of us talk pretty quietly. We're trying to get the bars. Alright?
Got some serious criticism that our volume sucks and that we should kill ourselves.
So we're gonna scream at you.
So we're going to respect the former and try and talk louder.
I mean, it was good criticism. I don't necessarily disagree with it. So we're gonna get the bars.
Mostly
up.
no, really, y'all could all eat dick. Okay?
All you people that
like
don't
eat
listen.
dick, but make it an entree. You
In
know,
a philosophical
respect it.
sense.
I mean, like, we don't want you eating our dick unless you like it.
Don't,
I mean,
like,
Otherwise, what's the
swallow.
fucking point?
Right, like. All right.
Are we talking about dicks now?
All right, Joe. Where have you been? Okay.
Talking about dicks.
Oh God. All right. So we're talking about True Detective today.
Yes.
We already did an interview with Aaron and Christina. I did an interview with Aaron Davenport and Christina Thompson, and we're gonna be dropping that in and out. You'll hear our commentary, our discussions. So this is going to be kind of piecemeal, but
It's gonna get weird, guys.
Maybe. We'll see.
yeah,
We're gonna try and make
We're
this
gonna
work.
wing it.
We're gonna make this work. You know
Y'all
what you come here
listen to
for.
the final product.
You know what you come here for, and we're gonna deliver it.
So yeah, I think this episode's gonna be our best yet. Hopefully.
You think?
I think.
I think our inaugural episode was our best
PT
episode.
was
Yeah.
pretty fucking
It
good.
was so far.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but it was like 15 minutes of gold followed by like 30 minutes of shit.
Well, I mean, because
Oh,
I that for
shit!
15 minutes.
That's what it
Lost
was.
the Pokemon
Zach's
Shuffle
15
Gold.
minutes is what really brought it
Nah,
up.
I mean, it was more
Not
like
even
20
necessarily
minutes.
that
and
I'm
Zach...
bringing the
Oh, I was definitely
content.
joking.
It's just
All right, so
All right,
let's
so
get
yeah,
into
well,
True
pick up
Detective.
again, so.
We already discussed in the other thing what it's about, certain scenes that we liked. Some stuff that I felt was missing. We didn't go over Rust's journey too terribly much.
How he changed as a character, over the course of
we
the show.
talked about how Marty.
What's the show's scope? It's 1995 to they're interviewing them.
It's
in
actually
2012,
pre-1995
right?
because 1995 is when the man, I'm missing that character's name again. The first big arrest is 1995.
Yeah, the guy who had the two girls in the trailer.
The lawnmower guy?
No.
Yeah, in the trailer. In the semi.
The guy with the mask. With the gas mask.
Yeah, the guy with the gas mask. The creator or the pharmacist for this biker gang in Texas, or Satanist guy.
Oh, definitely Satanist.
Definitely.
Definitely Satanist. We could put a hard confirmed on that.
In case there was any question, John. I don't know if
He's
you
a
saw the
confirmed
show.
Satanist guy. All right. So, Joe, tell us, what do you think about these two characters?
Besides the fact that Marty has a huge dick.
Well, other than the fact that Marty has a well-endowed
Just a
penis,
regular.
I mean, if you're pulling fucking Daddario tail,
I forgot about
that girl is stacked.
All right.
there's obviously a contrast between Marty and Rust. And Marty is that good old boy, the basic bro, with the wife, the kids, the white picket fence.
Yeah.
Basic bro circa 1990s.
Yeah. He's a southern boy.
He's a narcissist.
He's a southern boy.
His basic bro and narcissist don't go together, but okay.
But he has that character
I think
quality
it
as well.
can. I think a basic bro
Has some narcissistic quality.
has some narcissism in him.
I think it's just basically being ignorant as fuck.
Bro, we are removing
But
any
anyway.
cool content.
Okay. Fair point.
And then juxtaposed to that, we have Rust,
There we go.
who's completely introverted. Has been cut off from the world a lot of his life. Has had a lot of
Well, from
tragedy.
the normal world.
He's
anyway.
lost his daughter, and he doesn't look at the world through rose-colored lenses.
No, not at all. He's like you guys have covered.
More shit covered lenses.
He's a pessimist.
Yeah.
He's nihilistic to an
I
extent.
say borderline.
He's a
nihilism.
realist. I mean, that's how he describes himself. Though. He is a realist.
He is,
But in
but
How he
I
describes
think it's
himself.
In philosophical terms, he knows he falls into the category of pessimist or nihilist. But
important to note that he calls himself a realist but he also he claims to only exist to bear witness.
And he thinks we should all kill ourselves.
Right.
Get this,
and we do have that clip. We do have that clip preface, to start off the episode.
Humanity, achieving consciousness was just a mistake of human evolution.
Right.
I mean, his medicine. What's the gate code?
So, what causes Rust to evolve into, or to change his mind in some sense?
About simply bearing witness, because I think that's kind of
is that how you characterize it?
That's what I take away from the ending. He no longer feels like his only purpose in life is to bear witness.
Yeah, he was at a very low point at the time that he and Marty first became partners.
Yes. I think he was at a prolonged low point. Though.
Yeah,
I wouldn't call it a low point because I think he just, that is who he is.
Right.
That pretty much just describes him as a character, as being this person who doesn't have much hope in humanity.
But he did hit some highs after that.
But then,
before he went even lower.
Really? I don't like this. I've heard you say that he was in a relationship and that was kind of a high point.
Yeah,
I
normalcy.
never at all interpreted Rust as ever having a departure from that character.
No.
Even if he was getting some ass,
still,
I know that was him seeing, or my interpretation is, that was him just getting some ass. He probably was that pragmatic about it, seeing as he's that pragmatic about everything else.
Well, the way they show it in the movie is them having a double date with Marty and Maggie, and they're laughing and they're drinking. Obviously, he's still the same person, but there was some sort of relationship there that probably was at least served as a distraction from.
To me, that was just foreshadowing for a build-up. I mean, for an explosion, because that's not Rust. If anything, that marked a dissonant time for Rust for me, because that is something that is fundamentally not a part of his character.
It wasn't Rust.
I think you make a good point, because
he doesn't like to bullshit.
That's why he pushes the girlfriend away.
Right.
You earlier made the point that Marty has a lot of cognitive dissonance in this event. Him getting with this girl and having an actual relationship. That would be some of Rust's cognitive dissonance.
Right. Yeah.
That would be
wants to fit in.
Exactly. That would be a
on
parallel
some level.
That would be some of his growth.
Yeah.
Or not growth, or maybe just characterization.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to define where he's at in order to discuss where he's going, and so definitely good point. There's some clear cognitive dissonance with how he understands the world and how he knows he is expected to behave.
And maybe, I mean, you can't speak for his intentions, but maybe at some point he wants to be more like them. At some point he's done with the nihilism and the pessimism in his own cognitive dissonant way.
Yeah. So I mean, inevitably, because this is kind of you don't see a real progressive growth like you do with Marty over the course of the show. It's only the ending where we see a crack in the artifice, or not even artifice, but a crack in his philosophy.
Yeah.
He recognizes maybe a shortcoming of it that isn't really explained by his current view on things. I mean, having this experience where he feels unadulterated love, and that there's actually value in this experience, that it's more, the fact that it's a biological process does not negate its value.
You're talking about
Excellent.
his friendship with Marty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Talking about the moment when he and Marty kill Homeboy. Spoilers.
Oh, we already prefaced spoilers.
We are done with spoilers. But the moment that they fight Errol in Carcosa, and
the way they cover it up, the way they tell their superiors that there was this big firefight.
Well, that's not the same event.
It's not the same event.
No, that's a different event.
I can't remember that other dude's name, man.
No, Gas Mask Guy. That's a
Gas Mask Guy.
Gas Mask Guy.
Till the end of the
Errol
podcast.
is the final boss.
Yeah, Errol's the big bad, or not even the big bad, and that's my favorite part about this.
Oh well,
he's not even.
Well, let's get into that then.
Yeah.
So you're, I guess, positing that.
I'm firmly in the camp that dude is not anybody important.
Really?
Absolutely not.
Well,
important.
give us some story for that.
I mean, there's more to it than that. It's clearly seen that this occult is a real thing.
Yes.
And then there are really powerful members of it. They don't get any of those
That
guys.
guy that was building all the schools.
Exactly. The
What?
total family itself,
Yeah.
Errol is the unfortunate patsy in all of this. Just like
Really?
the inbred son of one of these guys.
He's the linking element
Exactly.
to every single case.
He's the link.
Well, he was the
No,
host.
here's the thing.
He also Carcosa is in his back fucking yard.
Exactly.
His backyard, that is not his house.
Fine, but like he is the warden, so to
Yeah, he's
speak.
done
Yeah,
some
because-
really horrible shit.
So they have to
they keep
completely
him-
set up camp elsewhere. Now, yeah, they even mentioned
You don't shit where you eat. All right? So he basically lives where they shit. They eat in their fucking, rich guy mega mansions and shit, and he just watches the place where they do all their gross occult shit, basically. He's like the warden of their occult. Like,
I don't know. It seems very localized, and key players were taken out. So you see from the geography and now this could be because Rust is only doing research in Louisiana. I don't know if they ever covered that. If he's, I think they do say across the nation. I might just be confused.
Spreads out, yeah.
I might be confusing all the stuff.
Across
I've
Louisiana.
actually heard about real Satanism and how it's bullshit. And
Yeah.
like, there's never been.
that was never a thing.
The Satanic Panic was all bullshit.
It was all, exactly. Which
But
is,
I could be confusing that. But I'm just gonna be agnostic and say I don't know if Rust's investigation spans
the whole of Louisiana or the whole of the nation.
the whole of the nation,
Yeah.
right? So,
I know that it
but
definitely spans...
they take out the fucking. So there's the governor, right?
Yes.
Is it governor or governor, or it's maybe a senator? I think it might be a senator.
Yeah.
Either way, prominent position. He's the one that dies, right? He's the one that was murdered after Rust finds his
blackmails
tape.
him?
Well, no, Rust finds his tape. They find out he's been
And he gets murdered.
They find
Exactly.
or kills himself.
Or...
Does Rust kill him? I
Right,
don't remember.
but Errol, it's sequentially it could support that Errol is the main bad guy if if Errol is taken out after the senator is killed.
Yeah.
So to refresh my memory,
We just
I
don't
remember
know. So what? Give
Rust
us some more.
breaking in and finding stuff on him. But what does he do to him after? Does he confront him at all? I don't remember. The senator.
No.
They get him on the boat. Remember?
No, that's not the same guy. No, that's just a
Yeah,
sheriff.
that's the sheriff.
That's the
yeah.
guy in the very beginning of the show where he like.
This is why we should
calls
play
him
him
a
out on
shitty
our
detec-
podcast before we.
Oh, this will all be covered in post. This is all going to be covered in post.
But no, like that's just the sheriff that.
How about the sheriff that
That
had like the
knew
investment
about
in the
it
bunny
and
ranch?
didn't do anything
He was
about it.
formerly a officer in their precinct. He was an underling of the detective squad or whatever. And the only real interaction you see earlier in the show is when
He covers up that missing
he,
person
he
case.
says that it was garbage that they're out doing all this detective work, and Rust slaps him in the face.
On the missing persons case of that girl that went missing, and then he took it for gospel that somebody said that she was with
Yeah, and
her
they
dad.
dropped it. They dropped
Yeah.
it after that. Yeah. My point is couched on the fact that we have video evidence in the show and documents and stuff supporting that this is like a vast network.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
There's tons of pins on that little map.
and they're generally higher up. I think that there's a lot more going on than just the like
I mean, it's
Rust
seriously
hits
like
on it.
disturbed son of like one of the main guys that's like kind of like watching over the property.
but it seems like there's like a historical element that
I mean, Rust
like that
uses
it's
that
always
exact
been in the
word.
Childers family.
Yeah.
You know, you have like these old, like if in the papers they find, you know, that this is a event that took place, you know, pre-slavery or something. Like,
Yeah.
Like where they would dress people up in these same exact headdress, and it was like a Mardi Gras, Santeria.
Yeah.
Like
Hybrid kind of
And
deal.
what is
Yeah.
the common link in the testimony of all the witnesses they talked to?
Childers.
The
Exactly.
spaghetti
The
face
spaghetti
guy
face.
with the scars on his face,
Because-
chasing girls to the woods.
Exactly.
Spaghetti monster.
He does it badly because he's clearly
Retarded.
deranged and like retarded and like mentally
Sorry.
deficient.
He doesn't
choice of
seem.
words.
He doesn't
Wow.
seem
Medically.
retarded.
Okay, well maybe not. He's mentally deficient in many ways, per his like.
I think he's just set
But I
up
think, I mean,
shop.
all the
he
way
does
through
shit
the
where he
show.
eats.
So is he just the collector of the goods? Is that what we're saying?
I think he's rogue. I believe that he's part of that organization, but he is a wild card, so to speak,
He's not
because
just
he just
bringing them the girls?
no, he just goes out on his own and does the shit that his family's been doing for years. Where they do it covertly, with money and smart ways of doing
Yet
shit.
they always end up at his place.
Because his place is where they all do it. Because he's watching
But
the property.
who's the gatekeeper?
I feel
He
like
is.
He is,
he's the
exactly.
guy
Yeah.
bringing them
So
goods.
it really does seem that it hinges at him. Like if they lose Carcosa, they lose a important context for
their tradition and their occult
exactly.
value.
They'd
Yeah.
have to now. Granted, they even mentioned that they don't have everybody got. But I think that is a huge blow to the organizations.
Oh yeah. Oh no. I'm not trying to belittle the organization.
All right, now that Zach's left,
Per
Again.
usual, Zack is left. His girlfriend came and picked him up.
Our friend that's a
so
girl.
so Errol's the gatekeeper, but there are others out there.
And yeah, you make a great point. I believe that they did throw a pretty damaging blow
Yeah.
to the occult. I mean, it wasn't for naught, and that's kind of the point.
It
That's
does
why-
seem like a good place to conclude.
It's
and
why he looks up into the sky and he says, "I see a lot of light out there." They did do something. They
Whoever
did-
else is
maybe
gonna
not
lay low.
why, but it definitely
Yeah.
definitely supports
Whoever else
that.
is gonna lay low for a while, at least.
Oh, exactly. They dealt a very devastating blow to this occult following, but I know that there's more out there.
No,
There's more.
they're always.
But that's the thing. You never get
Well,
that.
even
That
in
is the
video,
bane
there's lots
of
of people in masks.
exactly
Right?
more than just one fat guy.
Right.
That's creepy as shit.
Yeah, but I think it no longer is an organization at that point. I don't know if it's truly because it's not a well-defined group. It's not like Hydra where you cut off the head in a million.
yeah, but see, I don't even know that. I don't feel that he's the head. Honestly,
Okay.
I feel like that he was the
Big Tuttle's
unfortunate.
the head.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like he's the unfortunate guy who got stuck
if
with
it's
the,
if it's just. It's not it's-
fucking his sister in the woods all the time. That dude is not the head.
It doesn't. It's not like
He's the lackey.
It's not like this is
He does the
truly just the actual spokesperson for evil or something.
Yeah.
So it's not like that's the narrative we're being sold. It is a well-defined organization. Maybe well-defined is not the right term for it, but it is a group of people
Yeah.
that are taking part in this.
It's a family business.
right?
That's,
It is.
That's pretty much how I saw it.
But yeah, so they did do work. They put their work in and they got their guy, and they kept saying from the beginning, "This is their guy."
Yeah.
He was their
We
link
got the wrong
to
guy.
this
we
occult.
we didn't get the guy in '95.
No, yeah, and they got him, and so you work from there, and that's the bane of any law enforcement or any kind of work like that. You don't always get everything.
Right,
You're
yeah.
lucky to get one piece of that puzzle.
Because there's a point of diminishing returns on resources.
Exactly, and how far up are you willing to follow this?
Right.
When you find out that it's your fucking boss.
And
shit,
I
right?
love how Marty's just you never get them all, Rust. After it's the first thing he says when he wakes up is
Yeah.
that there's still more out there. And he's
Exactly.
of course, there's still more out there. You fucking betard.
Yeah, that's the point, and we're not gonna get them.
The world is a big place.
Yeah, we're not gonna get them, but that's okay because we did ours. We did our
Right.
share.
We settled our fucking
We
score.
contributed to that light,
yeah.
because there's a lot of light and dark duality in the show.
Yeah. And big dicks.
Yeah, sure, plenty of those.
Yeah, it's pretty much what characterizes Marty's whole character. Is that he's got a big dick.
He's a swinging dick.
Swinging dick's definitely my favorite.
Which ultimately leads to his downfall. Because
What downfall?
Well, his I guess
his
his
divorce,
act,
he lost his family.
his mid-act
Yeah.
downfall,
Yeah.
he loses
'cause
his family. He quits his job.
they eventually see redemption in the end
Yeah,
through
absolutely.
their
He
He
relationship.
becomes a pretty much active alcoholic.
Yeah.
What?
And
what
as a
is-
result of all this, I feel like he can relate to this suffering that Rust's character has experienced better
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
than he could in the
Well,
beginning.
he was pretty idealistic, and he just had his ideal shattered by reality. I hate
As
to
sad
put-
as it sounds. But that's exactly what happened. So yeah, I think it's important by the end of the show they kind of have earned an understanding of each other's.
Yes, yeah, and we touched on
I'm sure you guys touched on that. Yeah.
Pretty sufficiently.
Yeah, sufficiently touched on
One
that.
thing we didn't touch on, I'd like to talk about with you guys. What did you guys think? I know that Maggie, Marty's wife, has been characterized as like, or their relationship is a misogynistic one. That's fact. Marty treats her as less than. He's not physically abusive, but there's obviously more to misogyny than that.
Right.
What did you think about... Just tell me your interpretation of the ending where she comes back with the ring on. What does that mean for her? Because she... Honestly, I like Maggie a lot. Like, she is a strong woman character. One of the strongest, especially in a, Southern society where, it's... Religion aids to a certain misogyny because...
You're stuck in that marriage.
Well,
because
because women are supposed to be submissive to men,
right,
to some extent, and in various Christian doctrines, you'll hear different levels of that being espoused, but there's definitely a presence in the South.
There's an air of it.
Yeah.
There's an air of
So-
it. I think we can
so she
especially
I-
speak to that.
Yeah.
We live here.
We do live in the South.
We
so.
we understand it more than anybody. I think we're more equipped to
We
talk
actually
on that
live
than most
like
people.
a couple hours away from where True Detective is.
Was filmed and took place. And all
Took
that.
place, yeah. Supposedly took place, Lake Charles, and where it was actually filmed, a lot of it was, I guess, some suburbs of New Orleans and New Orleans.
Yeah.
And New Orleans is about an hour away from
Yeah,
us.
places we've frequented our entire lives.
Yeah, I feel like Maggie was an incredibly deep and strong character.
It's given her environment, especially.
Yeah, she took a tremendous amount of shit from Marty. She knew he had affair. She knew. I'm sorry. We can edit this part out. Or not.
Now that
She knew he had affairs
just so you
multiple
know,
times, and she kept on giving him more chances, and he kept on disappointing her, and finally she had enough, and she got out of it. And there's so many
one chance, really, which is, I think, all you should ever allow somebody.
Right, yeah, once a cheater, always a cheater. That's like, you kind of ruin a relationship at that point. you
Well,
know?
if you're gonna give somebody a chance after they cheated, it should only be one chance.
Right, yeah.
Tit for tat or tit for two tats.
Yeah.
That's the only viable strategy in evolutionary.
Because you're always
behavior.
living with
And
that.
she didn't just leave, pack the bags and leave it at that. She had to show Marty the same kind of pain that he had showed towards her by his affairs.
Yeah, and some people
So-
might characterize that as vindictive or unnecessary, but like, fuck you, you don't know.
It was a
like,
lesson that Marty
Like,
needed
yeah,
to
it's
learn.
like, fuck you, you don't know. Like, let her, like, if she felt that was how she wanted to get back at him, whatever. I mean, she's not perfect.
I think, like-
None of the characters here are perfect, and she's just acting out in the way that she felt was necessary at the time. I mean,
Right. I don't. That's a real moral gray area, and I just don't care to even go there.
Exactly.
On a moral. Yeah, as a moral issue, because it's just a moot to me.
right.
It seems to balance out.
Her character,
But,
thought Marty
what I
was
wanted to
so
talk about-
obtuse that she had to do that to really make her message ring true.
Right, because
Yeah.
he's so, like,
Through his
aloof
narcissism.
to, like, all of it.
Aloof, narcissistic. He's very much detached from the consequences of his actions. So what I wanted to talk about was what narrative, or I should just let you answer the question. How does the ending? How do you describe the ending?
with her with the ring. Is she forgiving Marty? Is she
Or
ready to get
how-
back into this?
Does that negate this strong female character?
No.
'Cause that's the criticism that I saw on when I was reading stuff. on
Oh,
the
here
internet.
she comes, coming,
Like, oh,
crawling
now-
back to him. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like this really is a blow to what she stood for the whole show.
She
And
comes
I
back
didn't
to him?
interpret it.
That's not
No.
what I interpreted at the end.
Because, I mean,
think it's
it's
just-
clear that Marty has changed. Like, by the end of the series,
He did something completely self-sacrificing
Exactly.
in this last job.
and he's realized
Something that he fundamentally had never done before.
Right.
Like, he never really put himself out there to be vulnerable and maybe, sacrifice
self-sacrificial.
what he loved.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it really, I thought it was a sufficient.
I think it actually
testament.
takes more bravery to come realize, okay, he is a different person. And at one point, I really did love that person, and then he really loved her at some point. But he's always talking about his weight and stuff, and we can't talk about whether or not that is a good excuse for what the things that he did.
We can.
I mean, I'm sure we can.
We're not gonna be the arbiters of what is right and wrong.
Exactly.
But we can talk about it.
But that was his logic behind all that was, he does this so
logic.
For like all his cheating and stuff.
Oh yeah.
His logic was that he does this so that he can go home and be a family man.
It's a stress reliever.
Exactly.
Because his job is
so hard. Well, I mean, let's not put that quotation on it because
it is a fucking
that dude.
Hard, but there's
that dude was literally
for it.
no, absolutely not, never.
But it's also very.
That's why we
human
put
way
those
of going about it.
quotations around it.
Yeah.
But I feel like what they leave us with at the end between Marty and Maggie is, that there's going to be some healing. Not necessarily them getting back together.
Immediately, no, absolutely
but
not.
maybe he has a relationship with his kids going forward, and they have a friendly relationship, not where they're so distant that they never see each other.
Yeah, and he gets to see his kids and all that, and that's more. It's worth it to them for her to do that.
Right.
Maybe this was just her way of saying, let's try and make this work in a way.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be us getting back together.
So
for the
I guess
kids,
to try and play the devil's advocate, what could it say? I mean, what could it say that she? I mean, how could that be interpreted in a negative? How could it be How could it be interpreted in a negative way that she came back? Like, what narrative would explain this that completely neglects that change that she may have witnessed?
What you had said earlier. I mean, a lot of people just see that as like the common trope of
they have to get they have to get back together because it's the end.
Yeah,
I mean,
or
that
like
would just
she,
be complete.
of course, she comes crawling back to him.
I just think that would completely undermine what we've been proven episode by episode, a particular vision and eye for details and fleshing out subtleties of characters. It would be completely uncharacteristic to fucking tack a shitty ending on there.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have more. I think probably my interpretation on some level comes from a certain respect of the director and his ability to tell me a story thus far, and make these characters really believable and human. That I'm asking myself, what is he trying to tell me right now? Because I know that he's shown me in every instance that Maggie is a strong character.
Yeah.
So what narrative fits this, her coming back? And it does make sense. You articulated it better than anybody else I'd ever seen or heard, and it really immediately clicked with me. I just had that realization that, he actually made a change.
Yeah.
And she recognized that.
Yeah, she knows him better than anyone. I mean, they were together for so long, and I'm sure she saw that in him.
Oh man,
well, it's up to him.
Oh man, I cried whenever I saw him break down.
Yeah.
At the end, and he refers to Rust as his friend for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. It's up to interpretation whether Maggie is crawling back to Marty.
There's just no narrative in which that is crawling.
Yeah,
I don't feel like that's necessarily a bad thing. These guys just went through such a trying period of their lives. Decades of turmoil, all revolved around their character defects and loss of family members and families. And after all of this, they get this heroic victory. They solve their case,
just a shitty.
And it's not uncommon in works like this for them to get something back, because the audience wants to see that to some extent. They get something back. Marty gets back his family to some extent.
But in reality,
Russ gets back some semblance of friendship and connection to somebody.
No longer just
himself.
wanting to
this
specifically to bear witness.
This is the thing that doesn't showcase Maggie's strength. Or maybe it does, I'm not sure. But she is she never really lets go.
No.
So I don't know. Like,
is that weakness or is that strength?
It's I don't want to characterize it in either way. It's a false dichotomy. You know?
Yeah.
It's not really. Maybe it doesn't belong on that spectrum, but you know, she like is. I guess in reality, you normally see like if somebody moves on, they don't care if you just solved this case and you had a breakthrough. I moved on.
Yeah.
You know, that's just how reality works. But they didn't depart from reality, really, because she had never really moved on. She still cared about him, but she made a firm decision to not be with him if he wasn't going to change.
Yeah, exactly. She made a decision that he was not right for the family at all.
Right. She was okay, I guess, not being in a relationship at that point in her life. She's, you know...
Or maybe she had tried.
Or maybe she just, maybe not enough time had really elapsed for her to move on.
Right.
How long was it? 10 years?
Since she left him? I think it was less than that, though, right?
Actually, I think it is 10 years.
Wow.
2002 is when Rust and them leave. And in 2012, he comes to Lake Charles in 2010. They meet up 2 years later. So it is 10 years.
Wow. So she did move on in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean,
but she didn't get remarried.
You see her new house, and she didn't get remarried, and she still cares for him deeply.
So 10 years later, you can't exactly call it running back ever.
Exactly, right?
Like, they got back together.
Yeah, so good point, Joe. Absolutely.
Yeah, she definitely made her statement and made it clear.
Right.
10 years is a fucking long time, and I don't know.
Yeah, so maybe there is a little bit catering, like you said, Joe. Maybe just catering to the narrative, but I guess it could make sense. So maybe it just came full circle here.
Even if it's just them having some kind of relationship, like we said already.
Like, yeah, she doesn't necessarily. Yeah, but I don't. That may just be I'm receptive to you at all.
Right.
You know, this isn't an end all be all where like this is it. We're getting back together. It could just be like. This is a subtle way to let you know, and the audience know, that, okay, they may be able to make...
Here.
Well,
we
there's
can
at least
try it
understanding
out.
here.
Yeah,
there's at least understanding
we
now.
might be able to try something out.
Yeah.
Or you're important to me.
You're not alone.
And you're important to your kids.
Right.
And
we're family.
You've changed in ways that make it appropriate for you to come back into this family.
Yeah.
In whatever form it may be.
Right. And they do allude to the fact that he's not having well, I don't know, maybe it is a tenuous involvement with his family. I mean, he's like, when he comes to visit her, he asks some really basic questions about how people are doing.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know?
Yeah,
probably
exactly.
should know.
He should know. And he's cut off. Like, it's very clean. Yeah. Like, he doesn't say it because he's ashamed of that fact.
He goes home
like,
and eats TV dinners. He doesn't talk about the fact that he stays close. Oh, when Rust asks about him, he doesn't say, "Oh, my kids are doing."
Yeah, exactly, because he doesn't know,
right.
And he's ashamed of that fact because he knows it's his fault.
He's isolated.
He's sacrificed, or he took advantage of his own situation under the guise of sacrifice. I mean,
right?
He's a flawed guy, you know. I mean, he makes a lot of the same mistakes a lot of people do in the real world,
right.
Which is
for the last 10 years.
Yeah,
I really liked how well they sold him as a sympathetic character in that light, though.
Yeah,
because he is a virtuous character. Like he hunts down Errol in the end solely on a virtuous,
mission.
basis. Virtuous mission. A little bit of Metal Gear reference.
Inside baseball.
All right, I want to jump into the lore of True Detective.
Yeah, the part that like is what everyone really likes about it.
Yeah, like the really seductive aspect. They never really fully elaborate, which honestly is probably the best move they could have made.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's not really lore.
There's always yeah, right. That's like the point of lore.
Yeah,
you have to look into it and shit. Otherwise, it's just a story again. But
so, like, how many different elements can we name? And let's not jump into any before we're done naming, because that's what we did on our
we'll
open
let y'all
world.
start.
Like, look
I have
at all.
No idea exactly what we're talking.
Okay,
about.
Awesome, even better.
Yeah, perfect way for us to define it. But like our open world podcast, I asked us to name off some open world franchises, and
We didn't.
We named like 3 and then jumped into how terrible Watch Dogs was.
Yeah, fuck Watch Dogs. Which is weird that I say that because I played the whole game and I had an alright time with it, but you know.
Yeah.
Just didn't grab me.
Just
didn't grab me
the
the
way
way
I
I
live
wanted
up to
it
the
to.
hype.
Right.
That was the problem.
So let's continue to talk about Watch Dogs on the True Detective podcast.
So let's name off some aspects of the lore. First off, definitely is the Yellow King.
Yeah,
That's
the King in
probably-
Yellow, the Yellow King, all the really like the guy who
Combinations
inspired
of King and
Lovecraft.
Yellow.
Like
Yeah. Then I guess the other lore the other lore is like encapsulated in artifacts and the rituals that they're doing.
All the little stick configurations they keep finding. What
Right.
was the name that lady said? The black lady said?
ooh.
I wish we knew. We should know that. We don't.
Don't call her a black lady.
Yeah, that's so racist. My bad.
It was a joke. I don't know. You call them the Blair Witch guys or whatever. I mean,
Yeah, the little stick thingies. You know what we're talking about.
the pyramid shaped sticks.
Right.
Done.
so yeah, there's a little bit of that in there.
Then there's like all the head, the antler,
Symbolism.
antler crown.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if his particular murder pattern is. No, it's not lore.
Well, I mean, he covers them in the symbols of the lore a lot of the time, like the spiral and stuff like that.
The spiral.
Yeah,
that's definitely a thing. Holy shit! Like they definitely like try to communicate a paranormal.
Exactly.
element.
They throw that. They give you like a taste of that.
Yeah, you're never sure, and I think it's always from Rustin's perspective.
It's like a fear-based
Which can give you the-
paranormal element.
The idea that it's all a floater to him, like when he floats in and out of acid trips because of how.
Right.
So like it always makes you wonder, like, is this something he is just seeing, or is there more to this? Like, is there an actual paranormal element?
I think Aaron and I covered that when we talked about the ending, but yeah, like when he's in Carcosa, he's like hearing Errol call to him.
Yeah.
I feel like it's easy to associate heinous acts from cults like this with paranormal because it's so different from the mainstream
Exactly.
that we associate it with
Because
something
it's
that's-
We have
Unknown.
to. We have to
alien.
attribute.
because attribute.
attribute. We have to attribute a metaphysical or paranormal aspect to it, so
That's-
we can digest it.
That's
like,
that's
as people.
human nature.
Exactly.
I mean, like we always try to explain things we don't understand.
Right.
And it's a really shitty flaw that we have. That's why we haven't progressed in science quicker than we have. But
We refuse to believe this, so it must
we're really
be
good at fooling ourselves.
right. Right.
Like a perfect, like encapsulation of science is learn not to fool yourself. You're the easiest person to fool. You have to train yourself to not
Yeah.
fool yourself. And that's the hypothesis and testing hypothesis. Yeah, because you guys needed to know how scientific method works.
Yeah. You guys are
You
a bunch
definitely
of,
don't fucking know.
Like if you're like me, you're just like a big dum dum. So whenever John talks, you just tune it out.
I feel like the idea of all these schools.
So definitely
being-
keep harping on the dum dum. It's working, bro.
I feel like weren't they charter schools? I feel like the idea of all
Yeah.
these charter schools being built by this cult leader and kids being abducted from them
And there's always a Christian backing to the.
starts to build the
That's
board.
a especially
obviously.
frightening thing.
But to me, the apex, where it gets its full body, is from
Carcosa?
the idea of Errol and all the reports of the spaghetti face guy with the scars,
Yeah.
and then
Technically, there's
One,
only
yeah, only
one
one-
report about spaghetti face guy,
Exactly.
well,
that's-
other reports of the scarred face guy.
scarred face. But that's because he has scars on his face.
Oh man, does he? But no, I mean like the show as a whole has a very like existential horror vibe to it, and like that's perfectly encapsulated in who Rust is. But more so, all the symbolism that's draped over the show, the supernatural aspects that are like just barely piercing into the show itself.
Yeah, because the girl that describes him as a spaghetti face guy that got away describes him as not a man.
No, describes him as a monster,
Yeah.
Yeah, and we know that he had paint on his face.
which is weird. Can we talk about that? Can I levy a critique against the show really quick?
Okay.
I didn't like when that happened. Like,
Did he have paint on his face, or was that just the scars?
It was
no,
paint.
he had paint on it. That's how they fucking solved the entire case. Is because he was painting a fucking house,
Oh, that's
and he
right.
had fucking green paint on his
That's
ears.
what you're talking
And I was like,
about.
who the fuck puts green paint on their ears? And I was like,
Some guy that's mentally deranged.
right? I mean,
and
yeah,
wants
you
to be
can
a creepy guy.
You can couch it in that. Like, he got some fucking green paint on his face, and he doesn't care because he's a fucking lunatic.
Or maybe he did it intentionally because he wanted to scare the shit out of a girl. And
Maybe. That's a good point. That that's another way to look
like
at
it seems like. I mean,
'Cause I was just like, man, that's fucking stretching it. Like, you
don't
fucking
know.
detective. That shit.
I thought, was it just splatter from painting?
No, it had to.
yeah,
it
I
would
know,
have
but
to
that's
be.
why like Russ is like, fuck you.
Yeah.
It's like, you fucking kidding me? Like, you pull this fucking diamond out of the rough. What
Yeah,
the
right.
fuck
Like,
are
exactly.
you?
Even he recognizes it as sort of a
Marty
Deus
finds
Ex
it.
like moment where
Yeah.
it's like, oh wow, really? Like, is this how we fucking break this case? Like, we finally tie together some fucking paint in this dude's ear? Like, it's absurd on a level, and you kind of see that, but.
They do
Yeah,
it.
sometimes shit is fucking absurd. Like,
Oh, that's right.
That's
The
how
little girl
most discover-
describes the green paint. Or green leaves. or
Green
something.
monster.
Yeah,
Green
and
spaghetti
he's-
face.
when in the drawing, he has like green ears,
Right.
And,
okay.
like-
I remember that now.
and that's how they see the house or
That's
like
where
the
he gets
shack
the
that he
green
painted.
from. That's
Yeah,
where he ties it together.
he painted a shack that was green, and it was like
Well,
on
they
the-
they
that was
went
his
and they-
alibi. or
No,
something.
no. So, I think it's the girl who was abducted's mom's house or whatever. They I guess his grandmother that's
That's
watching
right.
over the
Yeah.
her. And he realizes that there was a fresh coat of paint on one of the pictures and
Not on the other.
so that's the breakthrough. He's like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
That was
Marty's
fresh paint.
fucking like breakthrough.
We have we had old paint, then we have fresh paint.
and we got green ears over here,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there are people screaming right now, like, you guys are fucking it up. Like, that is not how it happened.
No, it's absolutely.
yeah,
not.
yeah.
Fuck with me.
But yeah, so like, yeah, that was like one of my only, like, I was like, man, that's
It's stretching it, but like I can see somebody who's been poring over
for
pictures.
for a decade,
or he hasn't. That's
Yeah.
the thing. But it's a fresh set of eyes,
right?
and he
And he
was
finally
like,
makes
"That's a
that
fresh-"
connection. Yeah.
For whatever, maybe completely, arbitrary reason, he took note of the fact that it was fresh paint.
And
Right.
it ties into the foreshadowing that that Rust makes earlier on in the show, where
We
he
wanna
says
use our
you never
ninth
know
grade
what
literary
little
terms."
detail is going to be the case, what breaks the case when
Right, the
That
tax
is-
Marty
man.
asks
yeah.
him about his notepad. That he
That's a
always
very
writes in.
that's heard over and over again in the police field. It's the little things, guys. It's the little things that's gonna
Right.
make you or break you.
No shit.
Yeah, and it's true. It's
Foreshadowing.
details, baby. Details.
Yeah, representing 9th grade or 7th grade English class. All right, we know the word foreshadowing.
But foreshadowing is a thing. Like,
Yep, no doubt.
all right, but what were we talking about before we went on that tangent?
We're
Four.
talking, you remember how I
Oh, yeah.
described how we were gonna do a list of things and not get interrupted and go off on a tangent?
People love
So we
the
just
tangents.
went on a tangent.
People love the tangents.
That was all about the lore of Errol.
Well, it was all about the like
No.
what I thought was dumb for a second in the show, but other than that,
Okay, so Yellow King.
yeah.
Holy shit! Like, what is there a presence? I guess we've already talked that we're not really sure because Rust is like Rust might just be
Having
it's
a
only
floater, as he described,
Right.
like,
But you do see the fucking crows turn into a spiral,
right? Is that a floater or is that
Right.
like legit? Like,
and he does hear voices in Carcosa.
I think he might actually be hearing those. I think that dude might just be like creeping around, like saying
That's
shit.
true.
Like,
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
like,
Him
cause
taunting him,
Yeah,
Right.
no doubt.
and weird acoustics going on in that structure.
yeah.
It does seem like I don't know.
There's a lot of stuff to echo off. And all
seems
those-
It may be a mix. He may be having an episode.
But there's
as
one thing that's
he's talking.
undeniable. That when he walks in, he looks up and sees like a fucking galaxy swirling.
Yeah,
That's not. There's no. The only physical possible explanation for that is that he's having a floater. That
Right.
he's actually
or
hallucinating.
you accept the fact that there is an actual real supernatural element.
Right.
So I mean, you go either
The
way.
only
That's
physical
your
explanation
yeah.
is a hallucination.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, that's a possibility. Like, we both read a little bit on the Yellow King.
Yeah, I don't know nearly enough.
The King in Yellow. But this is the thing. Like, when I looked into it, I mean, it's only one book.
It's like a book of short stories, and
So it's already, like, if there is, you know, a supernatural element in this show, then, I mean, yeah, then it's based on a very, like, obscure and, like, maybe not obscure, but
I would say it's fairly obscure. It's pretty old. It was written in
Yeah.
like pre-1900s, like 1895 or something
and
like
it's
that.
not,
when the
it's
book came out.
undeveloped. I mean, it's an undeveloped.
I think it is developed. Like, I think there's a large, like, portion of literature out there that's solely based off of that I was reading.
But there's no canon or anything, so
No,
it's-
not a strict canon. I mean, they're like you follow a certain
But we're
weird paradigm where you like
but
characters are the
we're
same
being
or something.
sold that A, it's a hallucination, or B, that this is actually a thing.
Right.
So presumably they
It's a
knew about
hallucination.
this, right? Yeah, I mean,
Who knew
that's,
about this?
I
It's
think
been set up previously in the show that he has hallucination. He
Yeah.
talks about them.
I mean, that's my interpretation.
Yeah, exactly. I think they did that on purpose because they want you to be able to make
It's
your own.
foreshadowing.
They want you to make your own interpretations
How is
about
it foreshadowing, Joe? What are you talking about?
I think
Shut
you're
the
just
fuck
you.
I'm fucking with you.
up. You're doing a terrible job. You look like an asshole right now.
That's the point.
Okay. So, like, if this truly is the Yellow King, we have to assume that, like, the King in Yellow is like a holy book, divinely inspired,
Right.
or like a striking, a glancing blow with paranormal, like where we see some definition of the actual devil or whatever this deity is. And you talked about there being, like, you know, a lot of lore. Then we might have to look at those books as being potentially divinely
Which sucks,
inspired.
right? That seems
Yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow.
right. It's hard because you've already consumed this like massive television series that's, you know, like spans 8 hours, and it's got a lot of its own shit going on. And then you're like also like, man, if I really want to get into this, I got to read this fucking book from 1895, and then I got to read like all the authors that were inspired by it and like chose to write in universe about it and stuff. And it's just like, man, it's a lot more work.
So what we do know about the King in Yellow is that it's like a play.
Well, it's a
play
collection of
with-
short stories that a play is in.
A play is in the book, The King in Yellow, which is a collection of short stories. The book itself is a collection of short stories.
Yeah.
And The King in Yellow is just a play that's referenced in that collection of short stories.
Yeah, and it's a play that anyone who sees it or like reads it,
will go insane.
they lose their mind or they die or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
In the second act. The first act is benign, and the second act is
Yeah.
causes you to lose your shit.
yeah, you just die.
I think they say and causes them to do unspeakable acts of, like, you know, debauchery, essentially.
Okay,
Like, it causes them to do all the things that they're doing.
right, which is interesting.
To me, it seems like just all it would take, going back to our earlier talk about how Errol was, you didn't think he was the ringleader. All it would take is a family of people to buy into this and create
Exactly, and to their own religion based off of it.
Right.
That's what I think it is, and it clearly stretches all the way back to
Yeah.
the time period. So this book came out, and
in the same era that they started acting out these rituals,
right,
these Mardi Gras, Santeria, mixed hybrid rituals of the King in Yellow, and so they created their own lore, their own
religion based around it.
Right.
They created their own cult basically, and which is like the prime time to do it because, like, you know, you live in an area where there's not a lot of communication.
It's a conducive environment,
Right, to harbor an uprising of like some weird occult or something like that.
right? Because there's not any outside influence
Especially
saying
if you're
you're a
people
fucking
of
idiot.
power.
That's
in the
stupid. That's a
community.
book. And so, yeah, this.
And when we know how time allows things to change, because this
Right.
could have just been like them recognizing that it was bullshit, but after 2 or 3 generations,
It's no longer bullshit. It's
Yeah.
become reality. Like,
right.
which is awesome. Like,
Yeah, fucking cool, right?
That's a really awesome,
Like commentary
Yeah.
that they're making.
like, look how quickly, like, when you live somewhere where there isn't a lot of outside influence and, like, people generally, like, keep to themselves, and this one group of people come into contact with this literature that kind of changes the way they view things. Not even necessarily that they necessarily believe it fully,
Right.
but it changes the way they behave. And then over the generations...
Oh, they definitely believe it fully.
Well, I
Some
mean,
of them.
like you were saying, like,
Some of them.
may have been seeing it for what it was, but were, like, utilizing it anyway as a means.
But definitely the Errol and his.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, over time, it
Right,
becomes
yeah.
reality. It becomes an actual deity and shit.
And the gas mask guy, he definitely
Oh, yeah.
was buying into that.
Oh,
too.
yeah. They all were. Like, at this point, everyone that is involved that is maybe not upper tier is fully on board for the fact that, like, the Yellow King or whatever exists. However the religion is made up, they're fully on board for it.
It's I'm not sure if how many of them are. Like,
We don't
I
learn
think
a lot
I think
about
it might be
the
more.
people that were involved.
Like, because the person who outs the yellow, I mean, the way they get back onto the case in 2002 is this guy offers the Yellow King.
Right.
I can give you the Yellow King, and he's referring to Errol.
Yeah. He believes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's more of just a support for Errol being the head guy. He's the Yellow King, motherfucker. He talks about, like, when he went
That's
on,
what I'm saying.
When he went on his walk, he saw the infernal plane.
Errol is the Yellow King.
Yeah.
But
self-proclaimed.
I feel like
I think he's
feel like the
surrogate.
upper
He's a
bodies,
vehicle.
the upper
He
dudes,
feels he's a vehicle for
the
that.
people who are, like, for real in charge, I don't think they actually even believe it. They use it as a tool to control.
I can completely
Their
buy into
lust
that.
for young flesh.
They use it. Yeah, they use it to get what they want.
To get nubile children.
Exactly.
Which is redundant. What's up?
But they use it. They use that whole religion and that whole cult to create acolytes, so to say, like Errol and like
Yeah.
other people, like the gas mask guy and the dude who said he was going to turn in the Yellow King. They make them acolytes and they make him the Yellow King so they can use them
as tools for their predation.
Exactly. This is really just like a huge pedophile ring,
Right.
and
Right.
that
Yeah.
utilizes this cult that got set up.
They utilize this
Way back
one
in the day.
crazy dude from this family that
But what they're tracking is this ritualized set of murders which follows a very particular interpretation of the Yellow King. So
Right.
they're all indoctrinated,
Right.
whether they believe it or not.
Like even the upper tier.
Whether they believe the doctrine or not,
Right.
they all know it.
And they at least partake in
Errol
the
is the
tradition.
glue.
They,
you know,
they partake in the rituals.
the rituals.
Errol is the glue. that
Which, I
brings
mean,
them all together.
could all these rituals just be more reinforcement? Like, look, guys, we do these rituals with you. Like, you know this shit's legit. Like, do our bidding. You
But
know?
I think Errol's the guy, the head guy.
I think he's the head guy.
But we don't have any evidence that he was the head guy in the rituals.
Exactly. He's never shown it in, like, any of the pictures. Like, I feel like I'd be able to pick him out, like, even with the masks and shit on. You know what I
I
mean?
thought he was shown in the video with all the people in masks without a mask on.
Was he?
I feel like he was.
Maybe he was. Maybe because I
Yes, they say that he was the one that took off the mask.
shit.
I think.
I
Maybe.
feel like
Yeah.
he doesn't
Yeah.
ever put one on.
The Yellow
Like,
King
he just
wouldn't.
doesn't give a fuck about disguising himself or having a mask on or a robe or whatever. 'Cause
Yeah.
he's fucking Errol.
Because he's the Yellow King.
He's a beast.
Yeah. He's the craziest motherfucker in town.
Like, unequivocally.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's really cool. Like, I really love that idea that this piece of literature found its way
And, yeah,
into the backwoods
I love
of
that
Louisiana.
commentary on
And it became
human nature.
gospel for
Right,
them. You know, it
exactly.
became.
So it's a perfect
commentary.
Yeah.
Criticism, critique
incubator
of
for-
human
Yeah.
credulity.
The area was the perfect incubator for that
something
kind of, like,
this story, and
Right.
with this lore.
it's good stuff.
I think
Cajun
that pretty
back-
much covers it.
Cajun backwoods.
I mean,
on the
like,
bayou,
do we
Yeah.
have any like
Mardi Gras.
comments on the other aspects of the lore? Did you guys have any particular thoughts about like the little pyramid things or the other symbology?
That has to be, like, the pyramids have to be related to the religion in some way we don't understand. I mean, it has to be
I mean,
some
that's
sort of,
something
like,
that
marker or something.
gives
They
the
said that
audience-
it came from Santeria. Like,
Yeah.
It gives the audience.
That's another good commentary about religions and how they work. though, is they often change and adapt
They
with the
they
area. And since
often meld
Santeria
together. Yeah.
is like such a huge part of like original like
Of that
Cajun
culture,
culture,
right.
that it would have adopted and changed to fit that narrative.
Right.
So
We
that,
don't want to piss people.
Right.
We're going to. Everybody's right.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you do that? That's cool. We do that too. Everyone
It's
start-
actually all the same thing.
yeah, everyone start doing that really quick. So like all these other people
We're
want
like,
it.
no,
Yeah.
dude, it's the same thing. Like, remember when the Yellow King, like,
He is Santeria.
when he like touches like a vase, that vase is actually the shape of a pyramid. So like,
Yeah, exactly.
You know, this is just.
It all
Yeah.
everyone sees what they want to see.
And it
They
gives
adopt the
viewer
parts they want to
something
adopt.
Easy to relate to the occult.
Right. We inject our values and beliefs into religion, not vice versa.
Right.
We do not adopt based on religion. We inject our. I mean, I heard Christianity described as a benevolent hypocrisy, and I know that's very incendiary. I don't mean to be that, but I guess I'm being that right now. But like, if you endorse all the violence that's in. If you did endorse all the violence that's in the Bible, you wouldn't end up with the current state of Christianity the way we have it. You know, it took you could just look at it as a lot of people, you know, reforming the understanding and a reformist movement that's ultimately led us here, and then that interpretation was the correct one, and people just got it wrong. That's about interpretation, I guess.
Right.
Or you could just look at it as, you know, a hypocrisy, you know, not sticking to the original core values that were right because they were written down by people who were not divinely inspired, and thus this new benevolent version is actually not true to the actual text.
Right.
So, I mean, open to interpretation.
Correct.
Where was I going with that?
I don't know. Good point though.
What the fuck?
We were talking about the symbology behind the pyramids, and then we talked about how religions adapt facets from other religions so they become more palatable to the population, and then you went off about that.
Yeah, oh, that's
Becoming more
okay.
palatable.
Yeah, so that's just a perfect example.
Yeah, how things become more palatable to the region they're in and stuff like that. Yeah.
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 So,
Whatever the normal is of the day.
Right.
all right. So the symbology, yeah, that just fits right in there into that same description.
So did you guys
So-
want to kind of touch on what you've been watching, what you've been playing
Sure.
before we head out?
We can do that.
Okay.
Get our feet wet in that scenario.
I've been working on this podcast.
Right. I don't know if you guys have
Go
heard of
into
it.
my-
You guys should go listen to A Wolf Lives Here podcast. Go do that right now.
should
You're going to enjoy
I
it.
hear those guys are a bunch of chodes, but they have pretty sweet sunglasses.
Oh, we should get those made.
Oh,
We should get those fucking
okay.
sunglasses made.
We vow to make the Technicolor Wolf sunglasses,
And we can sell them to you guys.
If you're interested, let us know. If you're
all
interested.
10 of you that aren't even there because we have 0 listeners.
I just want to say that for those of you who have a Wii U and don't have Splatoon,
Here we go.
Pitch it, Joe. Sell it.
Sell that shit.
Splatoon is a great game. It's a great interpretation of a third-person shooter by Nintendo. It is everything that is Nintendo. So if you like Nintendo stuff,
If you like
it
shooters,
is a good Nintendo game.
It definitely seems to be doing something new in third person stuff. I mean, they've always had, you know, a kind of like territory control games. What do they call that?
King of the Hill and stuff like that.
But
and-
like they actually call, I don't know. I can't.
Tactics.
No, there's region control games. I can't think of the actual term for it.
yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, so it's a good region control hybrid with a third-person shooter. It's really fun.
It's very accessible to people who don't play shooters. I don't play shooters.
You've been playing The Witcher 3 a little bit?
Yes, I've been playing The Witcher 3 a lot over the past week or so, and it's very good. I haven't played 2 or 1, unfortunately. I should really play 2. 1, I hear, is pretty like old these days. It's wearing its age a little bit, so it's not necessarily something you could just jump right in. But I hear 2 is still very good. Some bullet points I want to hit on it is the storytelling and the dialogue in this game is really good.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from
It's
people at work.
very good.
They have like situations where you're like running away from something with a goat, and he's like, "Run, you little bitch!"
So some of the gameplay reminded me a lot of Assassin's Creed, But that's because I relate every game in that style now back
to Assassin's Creed. It doesn't really play a whole lot like Assassin's. It's pretty different. It is in the open world, like we talked about last time on the podcast. The thing I'm taking away from it is you play as Geralt the Witcher, who is a Witcher is a guy who hunts monsters, but it's a lot more less a monster hunter, more of like a medieval detective, and that really is a cool idea.
That's a cool
thing, right?
Yeah,
it's
juxtaposition.
Good. Yeah. So you start you get contracts, and these are just side quests. And you do other witching in the main story, but at any point you can just pick up a Witcher contract, which is man, I want to get water from this well.
Dude, I'm gonna get this game. I've already been sold by so many other people, but you just put me over the edge.
No, you look, man. My fucking all the dead bodies in the lake. I can't get water from there anymore. Please, I try to go to this well that we used to use, and it's fucking straight up haunted. There's a monster there. I can't get water. Can you help me out, bro? And you're like, yeah, I'll go check it out if you pay me, because Witcher's always gotta get paid, son. Which I think Geralt's a really cool character. He's a very cool character. But so you go to this area, you go to where the well is, and you just start using fucking detective shit. You just start finding footprints and then
cool.
examining bodies and stuff, and you make you come to the conclusion about what monster it is and what course of action you have to take based off of that. And it's really cool shit.
How does he make a conclusion? Is it contingent upon the amount of evidence?
Man, I wish, bro. Now we're about to get in a whole new territory. We're about to get in a whole new
options?
fucking. Here's the thing: I've never played a game that has detective shit in it that's as good as Condemned.
Yeah.
Because Condemned 2, especially. There was just so much, you could leave whole areas without getting the right evidence, and it fucks your shit up, it fucks up your rating. LA Noire does the same thing. It's really good. You can fucking just ruin it by not finding the
investigation.
Evidence. Unfortunately, The Witcher is you basically just walk around the area.
It's like Batman?
Yeah, it's like Batman. You walk around the area looking for shit, and then when you find it, he's like, all right.
When you find all the stuff, then you're done.
Shit just happens.
Done. Right. That's an unfortunate drawback. But since LA Noire and Condemned are the only games I played with really cool you have to get this evidence really you have to find it. If you don't find it, fuck you fucked up or if you make the wrong connections with the evidence and stuff like that, you fuck up. So there's no weight to it, but I still enjoy seeing the process.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
better
the
than
process.
just showing up at the spot
and then he's like,
coming
this
out.
is a guy who does this. So yeah, you got to find the evidence.
Condemned has to be the I don't know. I've never played LA Noire. I guess they both mix genre. It's always cool that that's not all that they focused on, but they still
if I
put
could
a huge emphasis on the legitness
of detecting shit.
Yeah.
You have to detect shit. And you have to make the thing of
is veracity the right word I'm looking for?
Sure. I think so. Unfortunately, in Condemned, it's I recommend playing LA Noire if you haven't, because it's even more so than Condemned is, where you can miss whole pieces of evidence and it locks you out from whole interrogation options later, and it completely changes the course of how investigations go. And in Condemned, you basically just get I think 3 or 4 different endings based off of how well you solve the areas and stuff like that. And so yeah, it's unfortunate that games haven't looked to those games more and pulled in some of those elements, because in The Witcher you walk around an area and you use your detective vision like in Batman, but it's a Witcher sense, and you find highlighted areas and then you examine them. And unfortunately, you don't get to make your own conclusions about the examinations like you did in Condemned. In Condemned, one of the best puzzles or detective scenarios I've ever seen is you come across a guy who's mauled by a bear, and you have to identify him to the lady you're always in contact with. And so you have to search his shit, and you find his wallet, and then you find a couple of IDs, and it's hard to remember, it's been so long, but you have to make a connection based off of what you see on the ID and how he looks, and they give you 6 choices, and you have to pick the right one, and you can't go back. If you pick the wrong one, you're fucked. If you pick the right one, you're golden.
Some Phoenix Wright.
Yeah, there needs to be more I need to be able to draw my own conclusions after I've found the evidence, because finding the evidence is fun, and it's why The Witcher gets a good grade in my opinion. But it could be so much more if you allowed me to be the one that has to draw conclusions from the evidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that's sick.
Yeah, it's
I definitely want to play that. I guess 2 huge things. One huge announcement: Fallout. The
Fallout 4.
Fallout 4 trailer dropped.
Pretty cool.
I'm pretty fucking stoked about
The
it.
Oh, yeah.
dog.
Yeah, your dog, bro. He's gonna be there.
Yep.
I guess like there's not much that we can take from it other than it's
We
in
could,
Boston.
We could really get into that too.
Yeah, I don't.
For like voice protagonist, that's like on the docket.
Oh, really?
I mean, the dude talks in the trailer, like, and that's like a first, you know, like the character like that you're supposedly playing as Vault 111 guy. He
Yeah.
comes out and he starts talking to the dog, and everybody was like, "What the fuck?"
Whose voice is that?
Yeah, like, are we gonna have a voice protagonist in Fallout now? Like, is that what this means?
Oh shit.
Like, what does this mean for character creation? Like, customization. Like, can I be a female anymore? Can I be like a dude that grows like 4 arms and you know, like,
Yeah.
I'm sure you can. Like, I don't see why they wouldn't have
Both.
a female voiced option,
Right.
if they're gonna do voice.
I
Yeah.
still think it's probably going to be very limited voice on the protagonist.
I hope so, because
Well-
I kind of prefer that about it.
I mean, it would just be like akin to Mass Effect. I mean,
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like they can just do it the Mass Effect way and just like
Well, within their Bethesda style, because they
Right.
they have a unique style there. Maybe it's not that unique.
I like it.
But I like it a lot.
I'm excited for the game.
And then, are you stoked about the new Batman game?
I am. Yeah, I'm stoked about that.
Did you play Origins?
I did.
Did you like Origins?
No.
Me either.
But I mean, to be fair, it was made by like a completely different team, and like Rocksteady didn't have anything to do with it. They basically
Okay.
just gave them the engine because like WB needed to put out a game in between 2 and now, because they weren't going to let it go.
Because I
4
really
years
liked,
or whatever. Like,
I really liked Arkham City.
yeah, it's great.
I liked Arkham Asylum too, but I
like
really
the first
liked
one. That
Arkham
was
City.
enough for me. I didn't need any more Batman games after that.
Really?
Open world.
I'd give it a shot, man.
I have it. It's right over there.
It's good shit.
I think it is.
No, I will not. But no, I'm excited for Arkham Knight. It looks good. Some of the stuff they've announced is like the dual like combat kind of thing where you're gonna be switching off as characters, which is
Okay.
kind of cool. You're gonna be like in big fights with like you're already getting huge fights in Arkham City. There's
Yeah.
gonna be like double the size. You're gonna be
I-
fighting like 50 dudes, but you're gonna have like Batman. You're gonna have Robin. You're
I
gonna have
really would
Batgirl.
love to see them improve the fighting system.
Oh man, I love the fighting.
I
system.
liked it initially, but it's like
I don't know, man.
I'd
It's,
love to see more of where you have more creative input.
right.
Like just put, they can keep generally the same dynamics, and that'd be cool. But I would like to see some actual combos that you get to do. You know, like,
Instead of like the free flow. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
the game though. Like,
but it just takes away from me. You know, it takes away from the experience for me.
because you're not
Because I've always loved that
Devil
about
May
Devil
Cry.
May Cry.
Right,
is that
exactly,
You can, like,
yeah. And Devil
can
May Cry-
really just own, and it feels like
this is
you
you're
did
putting
it.
your fucking signature
they're
on
actually-
every fight. Like,
right.
this is how I fucking did this. I strung these combos together with these weapons, and like, yeah,
Right.
it's fucking
I created
amazing.
my spacing accordingly. Like,
Yeah.
there's a whole fighting philosophy that you can really be specialized from player to player in a hack and slash like Devil May Cry that you're not going to get in
Right.
Arkham City. I mean, they have like a couple combos.
Yeah, well, I mean, like everything is a combo, but you don't choose you do the same inputs and different moves come out. You know, you do square.
Well, no,
and
like
then,
they do have like those finishing moves. And
Yeah,
stuff.
but I mean, it's not the same like in Devil May
Right,
Cry.
right.
You know? Like, this is all like contingent on meter, essentially, because you build combo meter,
Right.
and then you can activate a finishing move, and then you do that.
That was my beef with Batman playing another Batman game. I enjoyed the first one. It just seemed like it was gonna be a lot more of the same,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't ready for a whole. I'm not that much into the DC Batman universe that
I
I,
don't think
wanted
most
more.
people. I don't think most people are really into the DC Batman universe that play Batman. Honestly,
I'm not. I'm a pretty big fan of it though. But
Like,
I'm really
people
into
that
that.
are into the games. Most people I know that are into the games do not read the comic books.
So yeah, like I'm in the opposite camp. I love the fighting style in that game. Like
I think it's
if I want,
okay.
like
Just
if
want
I wanted,
improvement.
if I
I want
wanted
improvement from a later franchise.
Devil May Cry, I would just be doing Devil May Cry. I don't know. It's just. I mean, it could. I mean, yeah, it's basic.
It feels
and it's
good.
It feels good in its simplicity.
hard.
It's not complex.
It's okay. I guess. I mean, and I beat Arkham City, so that says
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a fair amount. And I honestly, the only problem I had with Origins is that like it started off amazing. It made you think like you're investigating You're dealing
Dude,
with
that game did decent detective shit. It did decent detective shit.
I think it was pretty much like you're
But
describing.
it's
though.
exactly
Like, you just
it's
have
Witcher.
to check
You
all
just
the
have
boxes.
to find everything, right?
Yeah.
You can't walk away from a scenario.
Which it's cool that
empty-handed.
you actually have to find all the things. You might have to use creativity to think where to look.
Right.
Because so in that sense you are being like a real investigator, but you don't have to draw any conclusions on your own.
Man, I need that.
But like the thing I didn't like about Origins is it was like I thought I was going to be tracking down all these other people, and they alluded to involvement with the Joker, and I was like, oh shit, Joker might be in this game. And then like the first
5 seconds in, it's like Joker's in this game.
You're like, what the
cool.
fuck?
Awesome, guys.
And I'm like, okay, so I guess this is more of the same.
More of the same, exactly. And that's exactly what it is. And it's even done worse because the combat in that game is jank.
Really?
Like
It's not as fluid as
no, dude, you can really feel a difference in between it and Arkham City. It's surprising because it's like the same shit, just a different team utilizing the same tools. But you can really feel it,
like the way that they
just
dealt with their enemies,
the way
or
everything
whatever.
moves. There's not as much opportunity for like the really awesome like triple counters, which are like my favorite part of the game.
Yeah,
where Batman
the
just
counters
straight,
are really sick. I mean,
like,
it
just
looks
straight,
awesome,
right?
Like,
Exactly, it looks great, and you're not doing a whole lot.
You are Batman.
Yeah,
bad collision detection or
just like general like
they
sloppiness.
programmed the enemies poorly to
Right.
to accommodate the engine that they have.
And then to like nothing looks as fresh as it does in City. Like it just doesn't look as good.
Man, I want to go play that game. I think I'm gonna, instead of playing that game, I'm gonna go download Witcher 3 and play that game
Witcher 3's fucking tight.
tonight.
Watch some videos of it first. Don't get like into like something you're not sure about.
True.
Although, like, cause like, hear me out on this. The combat is shit in that game. The combat is not fun. Well, it's passable, but
it's Assassin's Creed.
no. Assassin's Creed is like Batman, where it's like you
It's
just
awesome.
like counter dudes and like shit, and like it's
Looks-
okay.
It
It looks
great.
awesome.
It's really intuitive and it looks great.
Yeah, The Witcher. It does not look great. It looks pretty like shoddy.
Pretty video game.
Very video gamey. Like, oh my god, it's
So
about as
more
video
like
gamey as it
Skyrim?
gets. Yes, it's kind of like that, which is like my main point of why I don't like
Main
Skyrim.
beef.
Yeah, my main
Yeah.
beef with Skyrim is the
Same
combat.
here.
Yeah,
Same here.
combat's pretty awful.
Unfortunately, Skyrim doesn't have an awesome like detective system and really good
I hate
dialogue to make up
Fallout's
for
combat
it. So,
too.
I like the vault system, the VATS system in Fallout 3. Like that was cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's is super awesome.
But no, in The Witcher, the combat's pretty bare
I mean, it
bones.
keeps it to that RPG element. Sometimes that can be frustrating, but then you know the solution to that, which is to just level up.
Right.
Choose a different character path on your next character creation.
There are some interesting pieces of Witcher's like take on combat. Like you can really prepare yourself well because you have a bestiary or bestiary. however you
Oh,
wanna-
bestiary.
Yeah, and you can refer to that like when you learn about enemies or like like when he discovers what that in that current scenario I was telling you about guys about. When he finds out what monster that is, you can refer to your bestiary and look up like what it's weak to, like what do you have to do to kill it, and like specifically like what works real well against it.
Okay.
And like there's other cool stuff like it said like it only appears at noon and there's like a real-time clock system going on in there. And so I was hoping like I would literally have to wait till noon before I could fight it, but I think it just like kind of flashed me forward when I like went to go like finish the mission. But that would have been really cool if I had to like actually like meditate till noon or like walk around do shit until noon and then come back and at noon it would be there. But yeah, it gives you a little depth because you have to prepare and you have spells and you have to use the right spells to like kill guys and shit.
Okay.
And
So the gameplay isn't the best part about it. It sounds like
it's not the best.
it's like being along for the ride of the
Well, the
story.
fighting isn't the
The
best part.
fighting isn't the best.
'Cause the gameplay
I'd say the
covers
detective
everything.
shit is pretty good. The interaction with characters is really
Yeah,
good.
apparently the social interaction
Yeah, the
is
social interaction
unprecedented.
is fucking great. It's fucking great.
I mean, would it be fair to say it's unprecedented?
Yes,
like
because-
it's all the micro level stuff, right?
Yeah, because it's the air of professionalism that they like the time they took to make the dialogue seem real and like seem like
Organic.
well, right. Whereas in like Fallout, you kind of get like weird like marionette feeling when you're talking to a character and you're like, I don't believe
part
this
of
is
that-
a human at all. Like,
Yeah. Part of it's just poor voice acting, and part of it is the fact that
they're utilizing the same voice actor for
exactly
everyone
the same 15 voice actors
for over
like-
1,000 people.
Exactly. I mean, like that's really probably the biggest reason I think that I couldn't get into New Vegas. I'm like,
Right.
no,
Why is the same person everywhere?
you
Right.
are not Dana. You're Moriarty.
Yeah.
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 That guy's apparently really versatile because he voices, both
Everyone.
Moriarty and Dana. Fictional Dana that I made up.
Dana? Yeah, fucking Dana. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're using a lot of the same voice actors. I haven't been able to tell yet. I just know that everything sounds
I pray to
organic.
God, they don't do that shit.
I'm saying everything sounds organic. All the dialogue is fucking great. Geralt is a cool as fuck character. Like, he's just really fucking cool to play with.
Yeah, I think I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I'll watch some trailers, but I've pretty much been sold on it. So we're going to wrap things up. Please do go like us on Facebook.
Like us on Facebook.
Follow us on Twitter.
On the Twitter.
Stay classy, San Diego.
Joe says to stay classy. He said it
email
just
us.
for San Diego, but I mean, if you're somewhere else and you want to stay classy, you feel free.
All right. Then if you want to email us, please do that. We're open to any criticism. We'd love to hear what you think.
Please criticize us.
Yeah.
God, please criticize us.
If you would make my motherfucking day.
My life. Just fucking do it.
And rate us on iTunes. That would be a huge help for us.
Man.
We don't have anybody that's rated it yet, and
Because we don't have any listeners.
that's a big part of
That's
it.
probably what it is.
We're 100 and growing.
Yeah.
And that may or may not be accurate because the RSS metrics on Squarespace
Who knows?
are
It's a
questionable.
wash. It's a wash.
You could be 101 though.
We could be.
Yeah. So
We could have 101 people subscribed,
like
but no
us-
one listening. Like,
That's, all right. But if you like us, please go give us some feedback, and if you want to, we are trying to make this a higher production podcast. We're trying to get more mics so the audio isn't so
garbage?
yeah sporadic.
Yeah.
Then you feel free to donate at our website, awolfliveshere.com.
Yeah, wolf lives here, .com.
You guys have a great one.
HTTP / All right, bye, y'all.
Bye.